Westbrook. You love the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me get a hell yeah!
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Party on Broad. It is Deibs, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Joining us today is my man Austin. Follow him on Twitter at KrellTPL and check out the Feed to Embiid on Twitter at the Feed to Embiid. Covers the Sixers and the NBA with Brock Landis. What's going on, my man?
I'm starting to think that maybe Jaws might own me like a royalty stake, considering the amount of screen time they get on our podcasts. The advertisement level that they must have is unbelievable. Like, I should have a stock in the franchise.
Just like Jaws, that was the original summer blockbuster. Austin, you are the original summer blockbuster. And also joining us today is my man Thiago. Follow him on Twitter at TScabia. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing great, man. We're going to talk about a guy who barely even played in college, so I'm excited to see what we
don't come out firing shots at my man, James Wiseman. What the hell was that?
Let's overreact to 3 freaking games, guys. Talking about James, not Jordan Nwora.
No, you know what? Jordan Nwora is done. Okay, it is now the James Wiseman campaign to get him drafted #1 overall. And damn it, I'm going to make it happen.
All right. Today, obviously, we are talking about James Wiseman, 7'1" freshman out of Memphis. Austin wrote an awesome breakdown on this guy, covers the strengths, the weaknesses, and really breaks it down on this guy at thepaintedlines.com. All right, Austin, who is James Wiseman?
So I think he's a victim, really, of the NCAA system. I mean, for years, this has been a thing, and people complain about the NCAA and their cases being, like a bunch of, Bush League. His family received help from Penny Hardaway to come move to Memphis when he was in high school. Penny Hardaway at the time was the coach of the high school where James Wiseman was going to go, and then they didn't, how can they tell the future? But ended up being that Hardaway was also the coach of Memphis when Wiseman went there. And the NCAA did their power move and they struck him out of college basketball. It happened to Kyrie Irving. Well, that was a foot injury, but it was still he fell victim to a bad circumstance, and I'm not going to penalize him. I'm not going to hold something that's out of his control against him. I evaluate the player and the player's performance on the court, and the performance on the court. Second to none. I think he is easily the best player in this draft.
Awesome. So let's piggyback off of that. Let's talk about the strength.
And if you don't think so, it's okay to let me explain why you're wrong.
Awesome.
Strong words.
Let's do it. So Thiago, lead us off. What is the strength of James Wiseman? And then we'll final it up with my man Austin here. Go ahead, Thiago.
So I'm going to leave most of the technical stuff to Austin because I know that he did a tremendous deep dive in James Wiseman's games. I'm going to talk specifically about the one game that I watched, and that game was against Oregon. And what stood out for me was, first half, Oregon is a frisky, tough, hard team to play against, and they beat him up in that first half. He was terrible. I think he had 2 or 3 fouls by halftime, barely even played. I think he had 2 points. So young guy leaving, going to halftime, team is down, it's not looking good. And what I saw in that game was just a guy who was determined, a guy who showed tremendous competitive spirit. I think a lot of players in his shoes in that moment would have probably packed it in and maybe just said, you know what, this is not for me right now. But he came back and he started showing a lot of things that I think Austin's going to talk about. A lot of versatility on defense, a little pick and pop game. So you saw the shot potential come about. And, you see a lot of the tools that really people start getting excited about. I mean, he moves tremendously well in space. And those things are very, very exciting. But again, the sample size is very small when you're talking about a potential #1 pick. Is it worth all the investment a team is going to put forth in him? I think Austin is probably the better guy to answer that question. But for me, it was the tremendous competitive spirit that I was very impressed with in that particular game.
Yeah, and I don't mean to oversimplify. We'll finish with Austin. But my strength for James Wiseman is this is like the quintessential modern NBA player. I see James Wiseman as a guy that's going to thrive in that pick and roll. This is a pick and roll threat, even some catch and shoot potential. He's a pick and roll diver. He can make his living early in his NBA career as a lob threat. He's a really good finisher. I see him thriving as a roller to the basket early on. And he didn't do much in college, but I really like his shooting stroke. He's got nice form on his jump shot. It's high, shows no major form issues. And I just really kind of see him evolving as a mid-range threat with that jump shot. So in terms of modern NBA, he's got it all. Go ahead, Austin.
So I think this. And I don't think often. When I do, it's usually pretty good.
I usually think none.
I think James Wiseman is already an NBA level defender. I think he is. I mean, the way that he anticipates a rotation on help ahead of the play. He's already there. He's already there when the guys are at the basket. At that point, it's volleyball. I'm going to spike it off your head. I'm gonna send it 3 rows back. I mean, you could hear the sound of the ball or his hand hitting the backboard. It's a hard, strong sound. He's an elite rim protector already, and the offensive game has to get some development a little bit. I mean, he attempted, I think, 6 jumpers in 3 college games. Had a usage of 29.1%, so over a quarter of Memphis's possessions, he's the last one touching the ball.
A lot of fadeaways.
I mean, even when he shoots them, they're fading. That's his natural motion. So it's whatever there, whatever he's comfortable with. But he didn't shoot enough, not aggressive enough. Now, could that be the way that Penny's offense runs him? Could that be the way that he thinks, oh, it's UIC? Like who is this guy? Like, he's literally 5'4". I played against him in high school. I mean, I can go over him. I don't need to just settle for a jump shot. And he was thinking, maybe he's thinking, I'm going to throw a perfect game and I'm going to go 15 of 18 from the field, whatever. Didn't attempt enough jump shots. But if you look past that, incredibly athletic, above the rim, defense, a natural shot blocking instinct and rim protection nature. And I think he's just an unbelievable diver to the basket. In transition, he's incredibly dangerous. And I think, if you had a better sample size, I believe you would have only been reaffirmed that he is as good as I think he is. The pieces around him in Memphis were very good. They had one of the best recruiting classes in the country. They were prolific shooters, and they were hitting everything. And so I think that the fit around Weisman at Memphis was very good. I think he would have continued to flex how good he is. And I think if you evaluate him solely on his experience, you're missing out on a great player. I think he's going to be the best player in his class.
Let's talk about James Wiseman's weaknesses. Sorry. Go ahead, Thiago. What's a weakness?
There are none. So it's that is definitely not true. Do not listen to that last team.
Not true.
No. So it's funny that Austin mentioned the defense because I do think he can make. He has tremendous defensive potential, and the athleticism, like Austin said, just screams off the page. I will disagree about him being defensive ready at the moment. I saw a lot of awareness issues in that game against Oregon. I saw him do things like overplay the help when he didn't need to be helping his teammate and just leaving a wide open passing lane for his guy to go in and take an easy ball, easy to the hoop. I saw him play poorly positioned on rebounds. Again, a guy who with his size should be able to come down with almost any type of defensive rebound that's out there. And again, he was getting out-positioned by guys who are smaller than him. So I think obviously the defensive potential is through the roof. But for me, what stood out as a negative, and again, in that particular game, was a little bit of rawness that caused guys to get in and get some easy looks around the rim.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that, Thiago, we're on the same page here. For me, it's obviously Experience. It's an obvious one, and there are tons of areas that he can grow in. But for me, it's experience. He doesn't have the best awareness. He doesn't have the best decisions with the ball in his hands. He doesn't have the best shot selection. He can be turnover prone. He has a ton of talent here. These are all areas that he can actually absolutely improve upon. He settles for way too many fadeaways. For being that big, his footwork needs to improve. Go ahead, Austin.
What are you watching?
We watched him against a real team. It was against a real college team. That's what we did.
He is without a flaw. No, I'm kidding. But he the only knock against him is I think he could be more aggressive offensively, and I like to see that jumper develop. I think his awareness is excellent. I think his anticipation and help defense, especially in the paint, is amongst the best in this class. My only, I mean, looking for a guy who is, is almost a surefire all-star, no matter what his ceiling or his floor is. I think that's going to be James Wiseman.
Awesome. Let's talk about
statements. Very, very bold statement.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's talk about best fits. I'll lead us off. I'm going with Golden State, man. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green are all good to go next season, man. Along with James Wiseman, the Warriors are going to obviously see themselves as contenders. Marquise Chris, he's got a partial guarantee. Kevin Looney's a complete mystery. He's been fighting injuries for a long, long time. But, man, I understand that the Warriors are at their best when they're playing without a center. But the fact that you can get a guy that thrives in transition, can run the court, and can roll to the basket like James Wiseman, that is a really intriguing fit. Like, who knows? All things considered, the Golden State Warriors probably trade the pick if they get number one and just get a win now piece that's like an all-star. But I'm going with Golden State. What about you, Thiago?
I had Golden State in mind as well, although I think the Andrew Wiggins thing kind of makes me a little bit worried about the fit there. Andrew Wiggins is kind of like a ball stopper there. So I don't know how that's going to play out. But I think the fit with Steph, the fit with Klay, and then the defensive potential with Draymond would be like through the roof. So yeah, I had Golden State as my team, but I'll tell you a team that I do not want to see him go to, and that's the Cleveland Cavaliers. I do not want to see him play with those two guards, and I don't want to see guys just chuck up shots and he's sitting out there just watching the game flow by him. So, yeah, but Golden State is the obvious choice for me as well.
Go ahead, Austin.
Everybody's the best fit. He's the best player in this draft. What are we talking about here? I would say if he falls down this far, and if he does, all your scouting departments are shot. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Charlotte Hornets. Okay. I think they have a very interesting tandem there. They have PJ Washington. They have Bridges. They have Terry Rozier. They have Devontae Graham. And all they needed is to really have something that you can watch that is marketable, that is thing. I like James Wiseman, a pickable, athletic, a rim protector, and I think that could really, be what their youth movement that they're sort of on is, and I would be certainly interested in watching them on League Pass if they had James Wiseman, and I usually don't watch the Hornets on League Pass, so tells you all you need to know.
You're not alone.
What's the Charlotte Hornets? No, I'm just kidding. All right, make sure you follow my man.
And there you go, all Hornets fans.
Yeah,
I thought it was Charlotte's Web.
Make sure you follow Thiago on Twitter at @tscabia. Check out my man Austin on Twitter at CrowlTPL. Check out the Feed to Embiid podcast with Brock Landis. Covers the Sixers and the NBA. For Thiago, for Austin, for myself, thanks for watching.
Sixers win it! Wow! Oh, man, Embiid just posterized Russell Westbrook. You love the Philadelphia Eagles! Let me get it!